Hey everyone, Magic Sword here. So we have two card reveals, just two, because I'm trying to reduce the workload for tonight. So we're gonna start with Cornelius Roame, and yes, he is that Roame, right? So this is father of Tamsin and the other one, and he is a 6 mana 4/5. At the start and end of each player's turn, draw a card. That is wow. I mean, so start and end of turn, those are, end of my turn and the start of my opponent's turn basically happen at the same time. So you can basically think of this as like draw two cards at the end of your turn, which is so powerful, right? Remember that Nat Pagel used to be a 2 mana 0/4, literally couldn't attack. That had a chance to draw a card at the end of your turn. Um, and that had to be nerfed to start a turn only. This is guaranteed at least two cards drawn. It's on 6 mana, a 5 health minion, probably easy enough to remove, but you are guaranteed to with the chance to draw four, right? That's a lot. That is a lot of reload. I'm struggling to think of what decks exactly want this. Um, you kind of get into this situation where you're like, oh yeah, I'm playing it on curve so I could reload my hand. It's like, well, what are you, like an aggro deck and you're trying to reload because you spent your load already on 6 mana? Or are you more of a mid range? I imagine this fits in mid range, and that's why I'm having such trouble conceiving of a deck because we just haven't really seen a proper mid range deck in a while. Right? Mid range has kind of gone away a bit in Hearthstone lately. This might help bring it back. Um, so at the start of end of your turn, I mean, guaranteed draw two. It's at best it is basically vanilla, right? So it's got 4 mana worth of stats and a 2 mana effect at minimum. You could potentially squeeze a lot of value out of this. You're basically if it survives through your opponent's turn and then you don't kill it on your turn, which you probably will choose not to kill it if you can, right? You end up drawing six. I mean, I just can't imagine this being used in any sort of deck that goes super long and runs a lot of late game cards. So that's kind of a little contradictory, right? Because aggro doesn't want this card, I don't think. If aggro is putting in card draw, it's going to be like Voracious Reader, right? That cheap, relatively cheap, guaranteed to draw stuff, or not necessarily guaranteed, but it will draw a lot in aggro specifically. Um, Maybe some loot hoarders or something. I don't know. This I'm struggling to place it. It's a really cool effect. It's just on paper really powerful. I just don't know if it fits into anything, right? That's the core issue is I don't know if it works in a deck. It works in a vacuum really well. It's statted and the effect, like the math on the cost and everything there, it's really good. But actual functional reality, I don't know. But let's totally disregard reality for this next one. Just kidding. Other direction with that. Elwynn Boar. This is oh man. Actually, not a big South Park fan, but I do know this reference. So instead of killing millions of these guys, you only have to kill seven. Kill seven Elwynn Boar of your own, right? Not total or from your opponent. Equip a 15/3 Sword of 1,000 Truths. So you might think, oh, okay, this is like a cool combo where um, it's like not impossible to pull off. It's not like as high of a level as like the priest combo with the quest or like Mechathune or something. You just have to summon some of these. It's gonna be like Highkeeper Ra, but with even more synergy because it's a death rattle, so there are lots of ways to bring death rattle minions back. And you equip a big weapon and you smack your opponent in the face with it, and then you kill them with it. And that's the whole point. It's like, well, no. So let's look at what the Sword of Truths does. So 10 mana 15/3, but you equip it, so the mana cost doesn't matter. After your hero attacks, destroy your opponent's mana crystals. What? So then it's, you attack, it flips to your opponent's turn, they have 1 mana to try to stop you. So it's this really fun effect where it doesn't just outright end the game, but they're not able to change anything, right? So unless they can kill you with their established board, they're probably dead. Or if they have a lot of armor, like Warrior could very reasonably survive 3 hits from this. I don't know if it could reasonably survive 3 hits and all the minions are dumping and everything else. But this is such a cool idea of like this game-winning combo that doesn't just outright kill your opponent and wipe their board and everything. Like think like Mordresh or Highkeeper Ra, right? Highkeeper Ra doesn't just outright kill your opponent, but it does clear their board and do a lot of damage, so it probably kills them most of the time. And this is a similar scenario. They're probably dead most of the time, but there's still room for counterplay after the combo goes off. Most combos, it's just like, all right, I win, time to die. But this, because of the because it doesn't clear their board, because it, you know, and it deletes their mana crystals, which is super fun. We haven't seen anything like that before. I guess Zihi is the closest, where it sets both to 5, right? But just being able to say you don't play the game anymore. Whatever you had on board already, fine. You get that, right? Um, what's really interesting is that I'm imagining that that kobold that like steals the opponent's weapon. That could be fun. Um, but like Celestial Druid might be able to push back a little bit if that takes off. People have been suggesting Celestial Druid is the counter to Priest, which is a really funny concept. Um, but at the same time, if Priest, I we're gonna address that take real quick. So, if the idea with the Quest Priest is that you are playing, you have a disproportionate amount of big things in your deck, like lots of 6, 7, 8 drops to try to complete the quest, then discounting those to 1 mana, yeah, sure, you are preventing the priest from completing the quest, but you're also letting them play 1 mana 8 drops, which is not good for you either, right? So, in the same sense here, if Celestial Druid does find like some sort of foothold here between like Elwynn Boar and Quest Priest, um, then hopefully it will be able to push back a little bit. You'll get some really tense games where 1 mana is just enough. By the nature of this card's Death Rattle, you don't care about triggering Death Rattles. So in a weird way, this is actually not what like Rogue and Hunter would be useful for. This is much more of a Priest and Paladin sort of deal where you want to like res things and return them to hand, maybe even Warlock with Raise Dead, right? Um, so Priest might actually have another archetype here. I think Priest is the most capable class for playing this. Um, there are certainly, they made it neutral for a reason, right? There are certainly a lot of ways to do it. But that's just the most obvious one that comes to mind because you want to res these and have them keep dying and dying and dying. Give them Reborn, right? That counts as 2 Elwynn Boars dying, right? Um, so slap an Embalming Ritual on there. You could do in Wild, you could do Quest Paladin Elwynn Boar OTK. I mean, there's all sorts of weird stuff you can do with this. So, that's the extent to which I'm going to theorycraft here because I'm frankly just not that good at it. But I'm sure the community is going to see a million things that I could never dream of. So if you think of any wild Elwynn Boar combos, leave that in the comments below. If you like the video, give it a like. Make sure you subscribe to stick around for the next few release videos. And otherwise, have a good day.